Home Building and Remodeling Show. Let's go! Welcome everybody to the Home Building and Remodeling Show. My name is Chris Kirby and I'll be your host. I am the owner of 3 construction companies on the Alabama Gulf Coast. The show is about residential construction. We're going to cover topics of home building and remodeling. Are you thinking of doing a remodel or building a home? Are you a contractor looking to improve your knowledge base or grow your business? Have you ever done a remodel project or built a home? There were so many things you wish you knew or that you could have done differently during the process. Then this show is for you. We break down the process of building and remodeling and how to have the best results during your project. Whether you're a DIYer looking for tips, someone looking to hire a contractor to do a project, or a contractor looking to expand your knowledge base or your business. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Stay tuned. We kick off the show with my thoughts on home building and remodeling. I'll share best practices and talk about some of our experiences in business and out in the field. These shared thoughts and lessons learned are meant to help you on your very own journey. Let's go. What it takes is experience. It takes diligence. It takes the biggest thing in contracting that you can understand, and I'm sure it applies to business in general, is understanding your cash flow. Because you will have weeks where you feel like you're breaking the bank, you're raking it in. Man, I closed out 5 jobs and I made a ton of money. Let me go buy a new boat. Well, that's not what you want to do, okay? Honestly, because the next week you may close out 0 jobs, but the overhead burden didn't really shift. You still have people working for you. You still got people dependent on you. You've hired more people. So short of firing people and turning down work, or not going out to do estimates or not doing more, you get into this cycle where you're chasing your tail. And we've done it for a very long time. And I don't know that as a business owner you ever get out of the cycle of chasing your tail. It's just how you manage that cycle. Honestly, that's all it is. The requirements of business are all the same, right? You've got to pay your taxes. You've got to hire people. You've got to maintain a payroll. You've got to find work. You've got to generate leads and create awareness and do branding. And that is all going to remain the same when you're small or when you're large. More work, more money, equal more problems, equal more responsibility, more commitments to the end user, to the client. And so, the best advice that I could give you out of all this and everything that we've talked about, and it applies to contractors, but it also applies to everyday small business owners, is to understand your cash flow and do everything you can in the very beginning when you're making smaller amounts and you're starting to want to go out on your own and grow your business. You need to understand cash flow and the importance of the statement that cash is king. And the reason for that is in contracting, when you have, let's just say for instance, we do a draw schedule for a home build, and part of that draw schedule is work. You do work, they come, they inspect it, they give you a paycheck. Well, inevitably there's going to be a delay sometimes, and so you're sometimes overcommitting. You commit money knowing that you're about to get a draw, and it becomes this cart before the horse, right? Where you pay a sub or a vendor and expecting to get a draw that week, and you don't get it, right? And again, it's the same thing in other businesses where you think you're going to make a big sale, but something happens. It could be as simple as this. ACHs take longer than credit card payments. And when you have to make payroll, if you're new or your system is new, the ACH, a bank ACH, is going to take even longer to hit your bank account, money in the bank, than somebody who's been doing the bank ACHs for a while. And so what you've got to look at is physical money in the bank, right? And make your decisions based on what you currently have all the time. And the reason that I say that is because if somebody calls and uses a credit card, it could take 2 or 3 days. Don't spend the money until it hits. If somebody calls and uses a ACH, it could take up to 10 business days. Don't spend the money until it hits, okay? Because you never know if it goes through, if there's going to be a hiccup, and you're like, okay, I've got 10. It's Monday. They called and made an ACH, and I can go ahead and line this work up, get my subs out here, and go ahead and get started. Because sure enough, by Friday, I'm gonna have my money, and I can pay the subs. And now we move into Shop Talk. It's the portion of the show where I bring in a co-host and we cover trending topics in home building and remodeling. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. Welcome, everybody. We got Pete, our general manager here. He is the general manager of Kirby Homes, and where we build custom homes. And we just want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we're dealing with, going through. The mission of the Homebuilding and Remodeling Show is to share our experience with the audience, to see, what we're going through as home builders, remodelers, contractors, interior designers. And that shared information is something that they can learn from, glean from, and I'm sure that they have some common experiences. So one of the things that we were just talking about right before the show started is we are building a home in Gulf Shores, and so there's some hurdles as a builder before you even start the project, and we talk about pre-construction pretty heavily around here because a lot of homeowners or home build clients don't understand what it takes to get the land developed and ready just to build. So one of the things that happened to us, where we're on the Alabama Gulf Coast, and we have different requirements for our dirt, right? So anytime you build a home, you want to build up a pad, and you cannot use red dirt on the island, is what they say. And we're doing a monolithic pour. Monolithic means that we're doing the pour all in one shot, the footers and the foundation. And so in order for us to do that, anytime here that we do a monolithic pour, we have to have a compaction test, and we also have to get the soil tested as well, right? Not just the...
Correct.
So talk to me about what that looks like. So there's a local company. They are a geotechnical company, and what they do is they actually do they produce a soil report.
Correct.
And so talk to me about what just happened, and kind of, as we're going through this build and we're getting approvals and stuff, right? And start with kind of where we are in the build, which is getting ready to break ground, right?
Correct. We're surveyed out, staked out, and before we progressed with monolithic slab, we had a company called Geocon, local company. We actually take a sample of the sand, dirt composition that we're using to build up the slab,
yep,
and have them test it. What they're looking for are different, the basically build up of it as well as the density of it.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's going to work for the footers and slab.
Gotcha.
Throughout the building.
And that came from, so our site guy who's going to do our dirt work and our foundation work, he actually had to go get a sample, right?
From the pit. Mm-hmm.
From the pit, and bring it to this company so they could run basically a lab report on it. They could test it in the lab. Okay. And the requirement it had to be was
95%.
Okay.
That's for the county. Anywhere in the county of anywhere in Baldwin County is 95% density level.
Okay. And then basically what that means is the sand was approved. It met the density requirement, and now we're going to take that sand and we're going to go use it for our foundation, for our site work and stuff like that, to build up the house pad. Now, is that the end of the soil report or information? What's the next part to that?
So they tested in the lab for that, but they also come out to the project once the pad is ready and do a actual
Compaction test.
compaction test where
Yep.
they actually test how hard that preliminary area is, just to make sure it's adequate for pouring footers and ultimately the slab. So,
Yeah. And so we're sitting here as contractors, as builders, right? And we go through this stuff and you learn. Guess what? You don't build a home until you build your first one, right? So, and we just finished our 13th, okay? So we're getting there. And we've done plenty of home additions and stuff all before we started building custom homes. So, usually this is all information that people out in the field and project managers and stuff are taking care of. But in Gulf Shore specifically, just because you can't use the harder red dirt, some areas require you to use that sand. And I know me, just as a layman, right? I'm thinking sand. We're about to build a house on top of sand.
correct.
That's a wild concept. But we're sitting here and we're talking about compaction test and soil reports, right? Testing soil and things like that. That it hits home the fact that there's a lot more to building a home than just let me get my construction loan, let me pick a contractor, and let's get this thing going. And luckily, the more you use a company like Geocon and stuff like that, the quicker they'll respond. They know you need help, and you've used them a lot. So luckily, they were able to turn this thing around in a day, right? It took them a day to test this and stuff like that. But it's a part of our process where if you don't know this stuff, right? If you're not working with the right builder or the right person, somebody who's going to take the time to talk you through these steps or do the pre-construction with you, and you just go out and try to build, what are you going to do when the county tells you you've got the wrong dirt on your lot? You can't use the dirt that's there. That dirt's not approved. And as a matter of fact, they'll fine you.
Correct.
You cannot bring in the wrong dirt. And that's what we try to do here is educate even the consumer, right? We want this show is for DIYers. It's for people looking to enhance their business, contractors who are looking to get more information. But the bottom line is, as contractors, we're learning every day. We are learning every day. And honestly, I don't think with the way that construction advances are happening, innovation is happening, I don't think that we're ever going to stop growing and learning. And changes are, look at the heat wave that we've got going on top of this. It's 110 degrees with the heat index, right? And everything that we do is just magnified because of the weather conditions.
Correct.
Well, that's climate change, and now all this technology is happening to make eco-friendly products, and every step we take, there is a new product, a new way to build something, a new way to do it, right? And all of this stuff slowly gets implemented into the code book. And you went to a recent code meeting, and were they not talking about the all of the changes just for like what was it, energy conservation and stuff coming up?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's first of all, that everybody right now, the majority of them are one code book behind.
Yeah. They operate. So for instance, what Pete is talking about, all of our municipalities in our county, right, is operating, most of them, I say, are operating out of the 2018. I think we've got one or two that have now jumped over to the 2021
Correct.
IRC, but most are operating in the 2018.
Yeah, Orange Beach and Gulf Shores are on the 2021. And the plan is to have everybody, when the 2024 comes out, everybody's going to swap at the same time.
Right.
So everybody's on the same par, same level.
So right now we're kind of bypassing the 2021 in some municipalities, but there's a lot of reason for that. And I think they're trying to reel in, there's just so much change in the 21 compared to the 2018 when it comes to energy code and different things like that.
Correct.
It makes it very hard for the homeowner, the consumer, the builder, the client, like everybody, even the inspectors, to adopt such a large change.
Yep.
There's training that has to take place for the builders, for the inspectors, and so, and you're thinking, well, 2018, it's been 3 years. No, there is a lot involved in building, but that's why I say you never stop learning, because not only is climate change happening and we're moving into an eco-friendly and environmentally friendly build, but we're moving the code book right along with that.
Correct.
And part of balancing what we do is making sure that as we're building, that we're abiding by the code. Now we're going to move into the portion of the show where we talk interior design. We're going to bring in an interior designer and we're going to talk trending design and products. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. Welcome back. I have one of our interior designers / she's a real estate agent or realtor, Whitney, here with us. So she wears 2 hats, but today we're going to talk about not only the interior design side, but we were working together and will continue working together on some unique opportunities. So we have the home building business, we have the remodeling business, and then we started the interior design side. And with you coming on initially part-time and then growing into one of our full-time designers, but you also have a real estate license, it presented a unique opportunity because me and my wife also are investors and we do flip properties and we work for other investors and flip properties. So it was kind of cool to have an in-house agent that could really talk to us about not just, you always comp a property like that. So when you're flipping a house, you look at the as-is state, and you put together a scope of work, and then you come up with an after repair value or an ARV. And so for you, you're able to help me do that, but it's double-hatted because you're able to comp it and say, hey, Chris, when we're done, you should be able to sell this house for X. But for you, you've got the benefit of saying, I'm going to design it as well, and you know what other properties in the area have in them and what it's going to take to reach that ARV or that comp that we need to get it sold. So I wanted to talk to you about that, and this is the first time on the show. So tell me about, first, let's talk about your experience in real estate, because you've been doing that for a while, right?
So I've been in real estate for 4 years now. I came from Iowa, which you know that.
Yeah.
Came back, I had a business there previously. Real estate has always been what I've wanted to do and design. So like when me and you met and kind of decided to mesh together, it really seemed like a perfect fit. I've been real estate for 4 years now. I started with a home builder, a local big builder.
Which was another benefit for us, because you do have that experience in the home build side, and when you were doing that, were you doing walkthroughs, or what were you doing as an agent for a production builder?
So for them, it was, obviously I represented the builder, but as part of like all of our duties that we did was we were assigned communities. We were speccing homes, it's minimal for these spec homes, but we're picking colors, we're flooring, cabinets, interior colors, exterior colors, but we're also part of the whole process of the build. So, from beginning to end, from, trenching stage with permitting all the way to completion, it was a really good experience because I was able to work hand in hand with the superintendents of the community and sell real estate, but then also learn so much of construction. And I've always been so interested in it, and I loved it. Yeah. So,
no, that's so, it's so good, and it's a breath of fresh air when you bring in somebody who has experience in multiple ways. So that experience, coming to work for a home builder or contractor, and also somebody who wants to start an interior design company, you had some leverage because you had experience, and I knew you were going to be beneficial to our company because you had that experience. But also, that's where my passion started getting reignited on the flipping opportunities,
Right.
because we still do work for investors and do the contracting side, and me and my wife have done a lot of that in the past. But it presented an opportunity with you being here, because it does, when you're doing a flip property, there are some key people that you need to make it work. So for any of you looking at getting into that, your contractor and your realtor, they really make or break deals, because the comps, they have to be right. The realtor has to be knowledgeable about what it's going to take, what the market looks like, what price to list it for, and then for you, it's also what upgrades are needed. And it's more than just the realtor perspective you're providing now. You're saying what upgrades are needed because now you're also an interior designer and you're working every day in interior design. And so you know product, cost, comparability to other houses in the area. So, because what you don't want to do when you're flipping, you don't want to overextend yourself and make the flip personal. It has to be comparable to get the price that you want. So you can't go in and make it extravagant if the entire neighborhood is basic. I mean, so some of those things, they absolutely matter. And then as a newer flipper, people can get in there and they make it personal, and they're like, no, I want this high end and this, and they make all the decisions based on feeling. And a good realtor will rein that in and say, listen, you really don't need to spend the money there. Put it in the master bathroom, put it in the kitchen, put it in these spaces. But, LVP versus bamboo hardwood, this is a flip property. This isn't somewhere you're going to live. You don't want to over customize, right? Is that
right? Yeah. I mean, it all depends on the neighborhood. So, when you're going into, I'll just use an example of like a spec neighborhood, big production. There's only so far that they're going to extend that to. Every quarter roughly they're bumping prices up. Yeah. But it's still going to be the same products that are in there. So you don't want to, and I've seen that out in the market a lot. But it just doesn't make sense.
Well,
because they're still going to pump them out with the same things over and over again.
And the thing is, and we've just dealt with this, but the appraiser is going to come out and they're going to look and do the same thing that a realtor. They're going to run comps and they're going to look at values, and yes, they will give you some extra credit, right? Yeah. But it's not going to be something where you go and put an extra $50,000 in, you may get 10. You're not gonna, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So you rely on the realtor to really keep you in check when you're doing these projects. So it was super cool for you to come in, and now we can. For me, it's just continuing to talk and look at properties and evaluate our position and the situation. But the other side of that is the design side. So I want to talk about how, as an investor, for any investor watching this, or for really anybody, how does an interior designer add value to the flip process? So for me, I was excited because as a flipper, as an investor, you have to make all the decisions, the colors from outside to inside, the roof. I mean, pretty much you're the one making all the decisions. Thanks for joining us today. As always, we are grateful for our listeners and your continued support. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media via Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Get more info at our website, www.thehomebuildingshow.com. And as always, remember who we are, the Home Building and Remodeling Show.